Hello and welcome to the video for the instructions for Module 3. In Module 3, we will be going over the central concepts from Chapter 2 of your OER. Chapter 2 is going to be our real introduction for describing data and using that data to build introductory graphs and tables. Remember that your module contains all of the assignments for Chapter 2. These assignments include your video response, your discussion board, and your quiz for Chapter 2 of the OER. Be sure to check in often and regularly to Canvas so that you can complete these assignments with plenty of time and by the Canvas due dates. Remember that you should be watching all of the videos, reading all of the announcements, reading Chapter 2, and reviewing my Chapter 2 summary as well as the PowerPoints that I have created so that you can visually see some of this information. If you have any issues with the course content or Canvas, please feel free to reach me. Email is the best way to reach me, and I try my best to respond to your emails within 48 hours. So let's take a moment before I finish this video to talk a little bit about what it means to take information that we call data and create frequency tables so that we can then use those tables to create visual graphs that give us a glimpse into what the data patterns are showing. In Chapter 2 of your OER, you will see various types of graphs, which, remember, give us kind of a picture of what our data looks like. But before we create graphs, we need to create frequency tables. I'm sure you've had experience with frequency tables. You may not just have heard them being called frequency tables. What a frequency table allows us to do is order the data and gives us a sense of how often a particular score is occurring in a data set. We can then take that table to create pie charts, histograms, bar graphs, line graphs, stem and leaf, and box plots. Don't worry about the box plots. I'm not a big fan of them, so we won't be covering those in depth in this course. You're welcome to read over that information in the chapter, but you won't be tested on box plots. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about a pie chart. You've seen pie charts, I'm sure. Pie charts allow us to divide the frequency amongst the categories of whatever data set we're measuring. Your OER gives you some nice examples. We'll be actually looking at pie charts for our computer assignment number 1. So think about a category, and I think that your OER talks about different sports and what types of sports people prefer. And if I'm not mistaken, the examples had to do with soccer, baseball, football, and I believe hockey. So we could ask people or collect data, which is your preferred sport? And depending on how many people in a specific data set indicate that their favorite sport is baseball, we can create or carve out a slice of the pie that represents the frequency of people who choose baseball as their favorite sport. Sometimes it's overwhelming when we look at pictures of data, but the reality is it's actually pretty simple as long as we're not getting nervous about it. So the pie chart, which you can think of as pieces of a pie that all add up to 100%, can tell us not just about the individual frequency of specific categories, but the cumulative frequency. So we could add pieces of the pie together to find out Let's say, how many people in the data set prefer a sport that involves grass? And there are more complex graphs that we'll use, and we will be using them throughout the course. We can talk about bar graphs and histograms, and all of these will allow us to build up to the notion of the standard normal distribution, which is a graph. So you'll be hearing more about that later, but I encourage you to take your time with the video response to really understand the idea of creating frequency tables and then converting those into a visual picture, either using a graph or a pie chart. Okay, I will see you back in the instructions for Module 4.